Today we are talking about
staying in touch in a world that is so out of touch. Like nobody even talks in the same room together. The other day I texted your dad to bring me something instead of calling out to him.
Yeah, I think it's funny because when you go on a first date, sometimes people are like, oh, I have a no cell phone policy. And it's funny that you have to actually put that into place for a date. It has to be actually said, like, oh, I don't answer my phone when I'm at the dinner table, or like, oh, I don't answer the phone when I'm with you. It's like, well, you shouldn't be because you're with me. When you're with someone in person, you should be with that person, like present, you know?
We had a family friend who told us a story that his daughter had gone out on a date, first date with a guy. I don't know if she met him online or what, but out on the date, the guy didn't say hardly a word. It was very awkward. They had dinner together. He brought her home, dropped her off, and then as soon as he dropped her off, 10 minutes later, when he gets home, he texts her and starts to talk to her. So, what did you think? How did you like the date? Do you like blah, 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 blah? And he didn't say a word on the date. Mm-hmm. But after he got home, in the shelter of his room, because God help you, you can't talk to somebody face to face and say, so what are you thinking?
I think the funny thing about that story is that this is not a 16-year-old boy. This is a grown adult in his 20s.
Yeah.
An adult. And I don't think that a grown adult should be acting like that. Like, you need to be able to assert yourself in person, because if you can't do that, how are you going to make it in life? How are you going to go to a job interview? How are you going to talk with your kids? How are you going to have the sex talk with your kid? Like, you can't text it to him.
Well, maybe you will. You probably will. Here's how it happens.
The birds and the bees. And they said the little emojis of a bird and a bee. Well, for me, something that I find very frustrating is when you care about someone, you're talking to someone, but all they ever want to do is text.
Well, then you're not talking to them.
Exactly. When I was 16 years old, there was this guy that I met, and I was like, oh, he's cute, whatever, and I was like, we texted or whatever, and that's all he did. When I would see him in person, he would shut down, he wouldn't talk to me, all he could handle was a texting relationship. Like, that was it. And I was like, I can't do this. I was like, I'm not doing this. And here, at 21 years old, the same thing still happens, where a guy just can't talk in person, or doesn't want to talk on the phone, or doesn't want to Skype, or face-to-face contact, or hearing the voice, or it's like hearing someone's voice or being with someone in person is so important to make a relationship work, to make a relationship last, and to grow in a relationship, because that's what it is. It's human interaction, it's communication, it's verbal.
But that you just mentioned earlier, something about a texting relationship. I don't think that's a relationship.
Yeah.
Because it's a false sense of relationship. In the olden days, when people wrote letters and they sent them across the sea to their man who was away at war or whatever, it's because that was their only option. Mm-hmm. And they would pour their heart out in their letter writing, and the letter writing reflected their feelings, and you would put time and effort into writing a letter, and the letter would have a beginning, a middle, and an end. We do have options. Mm-hmm. You don't have to text somebody if they are in the other room. You can actually sit in the room with them and talk to them. And if somebody's across the country, you can Skype. You can talk on the phone. Mm-hmm. But when we resort to texting as though that's our only choice, if that is our only choice, then that's your only choice. But if it's not, I don't know if a texting, quote, texting relationship is a real relationship.
Yeah, I think it's the easy way out is what it is. And people like to multitask in this society. Right now, it's everyone's always multitasking. If they're doing laundry, they're watching Netflix. If you're typing a paper, you're listening to music. If you're texting someone, you're texting someone else. Or whatever it is, you're never just in the moment, present.
I feel disconnected with people, and the funny thing is I'm in touch through social media. I'm in touch with so many people, but I'm so out of touch.
Yeah.
And I haven't felt physical touch. I haven't had a friend, hey, Lauren, how are you? Well, it would be a girlfriend who would do that, not a guy. The thing is, physical touch is so important. So we are in touch with people through social media, but we have no physical touch. We don't even hear their voice.
Yeah. I think when I've tried online dating, something that I find very frustrating is when someone all they ever want to do is ask the questions online, and they never ask the girl out. It's just, maybe try asking someone out. Meet for coffee. It doesn't have to be a fancy date, doesn't have to be some over the top, but maybe try getting to know someone in person. But like try, just hanging out with people in person. Make appointments to meet people instead of making time to text them.
But why? I know that because of cell phones, because of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, I know that we're used to it. But why is it that now it's so hard to actually talk to a person? Or why is it so hard for a guy to call a girl and ask her out, or even on a date actually enjoy talking for an hour or two? Why is that so hard now? Why is it so hard to have a long distance relationship where you're talking to each other every night or Skyping? Why is it that we want to text?
I think the reason is that social media and texting has become the norm, and so it's going out of your comfort zone. It's many people I've talked to, like in person, they say, I feel uncomfortable talking on the phone. Like they have anxiety about talking on the phone. Like I have friends who literally can't handle, they're like, oh, I don't want to talk on the phone.
When you talk on the phone, you are fully present. Your voice is you. Your thoughts, for example, if I'm angry, you'll hear it in my voice if we're talking on the phone. If I'm happy, you'll hear it. I can't hear all that when somebody texts me. And so if you're feeling vulnerable and you're talking on the phone with somebody, they can tell. And this is why we don't talk on the phone. We don't want people to really know who we are. We're holding back on who we are. So then what does that lead you to? Here's what else is going on. We don't want to take the risk. We don't want to be vulnerable because then we can get hurt.
Yeah, it is a scary thing to be present and be vulnerable with someone because you're taking that risk, but I think it's a necessary risk. So today, I just want to challenge you to be vulnerable, do something scary, be bold. Maybe call that person and then use that phone call to ask them to go out in person. And who knows what could happen. For me, what I've taken from this conversation is that I'm going to try to be more present. I'm going to try to go out in person more with friends and really try to share and talk about things that I think I'm struggling with, or maybe I feel like they're struggling with something, and really try to pull that out of them maybe. And, tough love. It's not always easy. Like, it's tough on me to do that, but because I love someone, I'm going to try to do that for them.
Yeah, I think we need to require in our relationships, when someone's texting us to say, hey, can we talk about this instead of texting? And you know what? Maybe we need to push a little bit because nobody feels comfortable, it seems, but we're going to have to require this, that we get together in the same room or get together at least, voice to voice and that we talk. We're glad you watched our video today, and even though it's not really talking back and forth, if you leave a comment below, we'll answer, and that's the beginning of a conversation.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.